Ladies and gentlemen, RosterWatch Nation, welcome back to the epic RosterWatch Podcast, brought to you by RosterWatch.com. My name is Alex Dunlap, here today with the Trashman, as he will be unveiling his early top 10 at the running back position for fantasy football in the year 2020. My apologies to everybody that listened to the last podcast and the sound was complete shit. I was recording the audio through my AirPods. I didn't realize that my mic had turned off. So it's crazy, Trash Man, because we see our numbers going up with our listeners and stuff. I realize that every time somebody listens, there's probably some new listeners coming along. They've never heard us before. And it tilted me endlessly to think that they would think that my mic always sounds that fucking bad. They'd be like, I'm not listening to this asshole, and I'm not listening to this guy and this group of clowns anymore. That this shit hurts my ears.
Well, it's only downhill from there, right?
I guess so. Quick reminder, we're also on YouTube, Periscope. If you guys on YouTube could make sure to click subscribe and leave a comment, leave us a thumbs up. We would really appreciate it over there, of course. Any ratings and reviews in Apple Podcasts, we greatly appreciate. And, of course, our pro memberships at rosterwatch.com now include version 1.0, soon to be version 1.1 of the PPR cheat sheet. So we're getting a super early start for you guys. And, of course, everything that we talk about here with these rankings, this is an aggregate effort to make sure that we have every bit of insight and knowledge possible as we continue to craft the structure and the skeleton of the cheat sheet. I'm sure you haven't checked it out, Trash Man, because you don't read fantasy football content and you rarely go to the site rosterwatch.com.
I go to the site rosterwatch.com to make sure my content's being posted, and I look at fantasy information. It's, I don't adhere to the majority of prognosticators in the fantasy sphere.
Oh, I'd say that for sure. That's why you get hurt so badly whenever you lose in a huge fantasy playoff matchup to Trash Man when he starts some asshole like Rock Cartwright or something. It's just the absolute stone, like nut low to go against Trash Man and have him start these trashy players against you. We're not going to be talking about trashy players though, Trash Man, today. We're going to be talking about your top 10 running backs at this early part of the season.
Hey, you might think they're trashy.
Maybe. Let me ask you this before we talk about some of these news and notes. What did you think about Byron? He kind of dropped a little bit of a bomb on me, saying that Saquon Barkley is going to be his top running back this year, citing a lack of similar volume under Matt Rule, and just the way that the Giants look like they're set to bounce back another year under Daniel Jones' belt. The offensive line continuing to be addressed, and the fact that Jason Garrett coming in there now. I mean, we've got the reports that Jason Garrett is basically going to run the same, very similar. I can't believe Joe Judge comes out and says this, because you really open yourself up to some criticism in saying that the offense is basically going to be like what they ran in Dallas. But if the offense is going to be like what they ran in Dallas, they're going to hand the ball off like crazy to Saquon Barkley if he kind of sees him as his Zeke. What do you think before we even get started about Byron saying that? And should we be giving that serious consideration? For me, it's just really hard to make it anybody not named Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, I could see Saquon getting close to similar usage as Christian McCaffrey, but and I think he's arguably maybe more as talented as Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, I mean, from a pure prospect profile, Saquon had
maybe
a better
more
profile coming in, yeah. But that profile goes out the window once we've seen what Christian McCaffrey's been able to do at the NFL level. But it's
I just don't think – I think with the kind of firepower that's been added to the NFC East, I think all the teams' offenses are going to be better. I don't know that they can afford to run the ball, as much as someone like the Panthers might be able to in the NFC South.
Yeah, but I mean, they can afford to dump it off to Saquon a whole lot. We're gonna have to keep running projections and keep kind of seeing where this is. I'm not ready to move Saquon ahead of Christian McCaffrey yet, but it's certainly an argument with Byron that we'll continue to have, and he seems pretty locked in on it. So we'll see how he handles it. I want to get to a couple bits of news and notes here first before we talk about your top 10. And one of the things that I saw I thought was interesting was this note on Roto World regarding hey, do you know what else? The note on Roto World is just as I see it right now. So the virtual off season's been moved back to May 29th. Your thoughts? Do they just do this? Do they just kind of move this thing back by 2 weeks? It seems like 2 weeks is the magic duration. It's like let's kick the can down the road, not too far. Let's not be like LA and shut everything down to. We're about to. Texas is about to have an influx of LA residents. I think
even more. We already do. This is like
we're all full up. We're all full up, right, Trash Man?
We're basically San Diego right now.
Well, yeah, it smells a lot less like eucalyptus. Anyway, all right. So the other news I saw, let's see, Jace Sternberger. There was news that, and I don't know whether it was whether it was like so the Athletics, Matt Schneidman confirmed second-year pro Jace Sternberger is the favorite to replace Jimmy Graham as the Packers pass-catching tight end. Now, if he's replacing Jimmy Graham, that's a worthless fantasy asset as it is from what Graham was last year, right? But the thing I could the question that I could, and look, I understand as well as anybody in the football business, we need to keep making content. I get it, and I think it's easier for us because we just talk about fantasy, we talk about the numbers. There's a million different subjects we can talk about. If you cover just one team, it's hard to come up with your headlines and your week, the stuff that you're. I don't. What is the new news? What has happened besides the obvious inference that Jace Sternberger was a guy who they drafted with early round capital last year? Jimmy Graham's now gone. I don't feel like this certainly doesn't come from anything he's seen at practices. It's kind of like you and I talked about with Dan Arnold, right? It's like the Dan Arnold effect. I
think maybe he ran into Sternberger somewhere in town.
The Dan Arnold grocery store talk. You think he was wearing a mask? Yeah. All right.
Probably not.
Here. It reminded me that we Byron specifically asked. My main questions for fucking Matt LaFleur at the combine were regarding Aaron Jones, and you saw what he did last year. You saw him take over football games. He was like one of the engines that got you that unlikely playoff run, sort of serendipitously because Jamal Williams was hurt. All these other guys. Like once you got to see that, do you still hate Aaron Jones? Are you giving the football? And that's when he, famously to us said, no, we like Aaron. We really think that we need to bring in a third guy. And then we're just like a third guy. And that's what they did with A.J. Dillon. I mean, like he was being truthful. Here's when Byron asked LaFleur about Jace Sternberger. And I don't remember exactly what his answer was, but I remember thinking to myself, that doesn't sound like a gleaming endorsement. Let me just play it real quick. I have it here on my phone.
Coach, what do you guys think you have at the tight end position in Jace Sternberger?
Yeah, I'm excited for Jace. I thought certainly that it didn't start off the greatest. He was injured quite a bit and then was on IR, and we brought him back, and it was a process, but I thought he started to get a good handle on things towards the end of the season. I think Justin Allen did an incredible job with him, just putting in the extra time needed for him to get up to speed. And I thought, he was playing some good ball at the end of the season in the limited reps that he got.
Okay. I mean, wasn't as bad as I remember. But it isn't like he came over the top and said like, "Oh, dude, Jace, you should see him at practice. Like, wait till we let this dude loose."
Yeah, that seemed like there was nothing.
Wait till we let him loose. He's going to get unleashed.
There was nothing that stood out for me there, and what he was saying.
Sounds like a bunch of coach speak.
I love you too, Sports G.
Yeah, there you go. Sports G says he loves the trash, man. John M is saying these 14-day timelines are all fugazi. Okay,
that's a good band.
What do you think about our dearest and most precious golden son Anthony Miller coming out and saying that he's about to have his best season? I think that's probably true because he's.
Hey, he wouldn't have to have a great season to have his best season.
That's true. That's true. But I think that Anthony Miller's a guy that, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of buzz about Allen Robinson, what he's going to be able to do with better quarterback play. My deal is
we're assuming that the play is going to be better.
Yeah. And you got to think that Mitchell Trubisky is going to start the season as the starter, right? If he gets beaten out.
I don't know that. I'm not assuming that.
I think that Ryan Pace is not going to, that GM is not going to, he's going to give Mitchell, I think Mitchell's got to fail miserably for his boy, Mitchell Trubisky, who he traded up to take when he could have just easily taken Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes. He's going to give him every chance. He's going to give him every chance. If I were to bet, I would say Nick Foles comes in after, Mitch falls on his face over the first couple of weeks of the season. So I don't know if it'll be a hot start for Anthony Miller. Do you have any thoughts on him? I was looking at the cheat sheet thinking maybe I could get him up a little bit. We certainly want some exposure to such a golden son. How do you feel about him in comparison to wide receivers like, as we get down in here? Like, would you rather have Anthony Miller or Denzel Mims? Rookie Denzel Mims.
What kind of question is that? You're pulling at my heartstrings. I mean, I would say, hey, if Nick Foles is the quarterback, and if Miller is getting
quarterback,
and if Miller is getting reps in the slot,
and he's completely healthy,
yeah, I like that combination.
I do too. I think I would take him over Mims. Would you take him over Preston Williams down in Miami, coming off injury?
It seems like people have forgotten about Preston Williams. I haven't heard really any offseason talk about him. But yeah, considering the fact that Miami didn't really do a lot to improve the receiving core, I mean, I guess you have to wonder if their quarterback play is going to be any better.
Yeah. Well, in Miami,
yeah,
it'll be better than Josh Rosen. Right, there won't be any Josh Rosen.
I suppose that's true, but yeah, no, I still like
Fitzpatrick's going to toss it up to these. It'll be Fitzpatrick tossing it up to these guys.
Yeah. And you have to think the running game is going to be considerably better.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, let me ask you this: Is Anthony Miller more viable than Mecole Hardman? Even though Mecole Hardman is such a home run threat and he plays on much better offense, I think so too. And I was noticing in these simulations we were getting a ton of Mecole Hardman, and I would like to be getting more Anthony Miller. So I'm gonna flip flop where those guys are positioning wise for 1.1. We'll have that update up pretty soon. And just one more quick thing: would you have both of those guys? Would you have both Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb above Anthony Miller?
I would have CeeDee Lamb above Anthony Miller,
but not Jerry Jeudy. I think Jerry Jeudy might have might even have a little bit of
he's going to be dependent on Drew Lock, and that's that's what I'm looking at there.
I get that.
I think
CeeDee Lamb is legitimately going to render Gallup useless, right?
I mean, I don't know about that. I think Gallup can still open up the field. I think he's going to have some big plays.
I have zero interest in Michael Gallup this year. I mean, I have zero interest in Michael Gallup.
I think he'll still have some.
I was surprised. I was surprised that he turned out to be as good at times during his pro career that he did, based on what I saw of him as a prospect and at the Senior Bowl.
Well, it seemed like on his tape, though, it seemed like he played up to his competition. And
I mean, our good friend Chris Trapasso. I mean, he used to write on Roster Watch. Now he's the draft guy for CBS. He had Michael Gallup as like his number 2 wide receiver in that whole class or something crazy. So he was doing victory laps last season. I think even he knows that Michael Gallup can't hold CD's jock. I mean, it's really, really, really true. It's almost like Amari Cooper can't. Okay, let's move on here to your top 10 running backs for for 2020. These are very early. These are not roster watch rankings. This is not the cheat sheet. This isn't any of it. This is a topic that we were told by somebody within our marketing team would be good to have on YouTube for search. So
are we those guys? Are we those guys? Or are we listening to the heads? Are we listening to the people in the A&R office about the cowbell we should add?
Play the fucking hits, man. Nobody wants you to add that cockamamie 30-minute bridge that you've written in 5/8. Just as a masturbatory, masterpiece to your own musical ability that nobody else wants to listen to. Yes.
Hey, a true penny vice.
Where hey, I'll tell you what, it's a vice of a lot of bands to forget what your audience actually wants to hear about. And I'm not ssure our audience even wants to hear about top 10 running backs, but
they want to hear about what you've got to say.
Yeah, they want to hear our analysis of these things, and we definitely are all about making sure that we can manipulate the various search engines and such. And a great way you guys can help us with that is to comment on the YouTube videos. We'll reply to those comments because we've heard that is what makes our benevolent robot overlords even more pleased, and could send more people our way.
They feed us. Your help. They feed us after that. They feed us more.
Oh, do you know what I have to do also just before we get started with this? Let me pull up quickly a little note here from some of those same folks that tell me about this stuff and give you a reminder that the 2020 Roster Watch cheat sheet is available now at rosterwatch.com. The revolutionary cheat sheet that changed fantasy football forever is back only at rosterwatch.com. The Roster Watch cheat sheet. All you have to do is follow 3 simple rules. That's it. 3 rules. It couldn't be easier. The Roster Watch cheat sheet. An expert quality draft is guaranteed. The Roster Watch cheat sheet only at rosterwatch.com. All right, Trashman, your top 10 running backs. Let's start at number 10.
You want me?
Not
I want to start be like
Byron and Root. No, you're gonna we end with a climax.
It doesn't get interesting until the later ones.
Okay, that's fair. Let's start at the top then. We can end with the climax still.
It's going to be Christian McCaffrey, number 1 for me. That's kind of a given, just based on what he did last. It's a safe pick, and Barkley could very well be the number 1 guy when it's all said and done. But based off of what happened last season, and McCaffrey was just unstoppable.
Different coaching staff doesn't worry you at all. Quarterback and Teddy Bridgewater that neutered Alvin Kamara in this screen game last year whenever he had to come in for Drew Brees.
But I think in situations like that, in some cases, you kind of stick to what was working for them while they're making other changes. And I feel like if anything was working for him, it was Christian McCaffrey, and it's anything that was keeping them above water.
I wonder, nothing's really happened since the combine with these guys. Like the drafts happened, but as far as from what these coaches have believed, and I have this app pulled up on my phone where I have some of the combine audio.
It says Robbie Anderson. That's about it.
I asked Matt Rule specifically about CMC's workload. Let me just play this. I'll just play this clip again.
There's been talk for this the last couple years about scaling back Christian McCaffrey's workload. What is your general philosophy on running back rotations when you got a guy like that that's the best running back in the league? Do you just kind of have to have him out there at all times?
Yeah, and I say this not specific to Christian because I haven't coached him enough yet. I mean, I don't think there's anybody taking care of their bodies and doing the rehab recovery. I mean, he's elite in those areas, but not just in general. As a head coach and an offensive coach over the years, my philosophy has always been, you want to help your great players be elite. So, the more carries you give somebody, obviously they're going to play better, but in ways that we can allow other players. And we feel really good about the entire running back room. We have 3 or 4 guys under contract that we feel like, they can go out there, they can play. And so I think diversifying, giving those guys more of an opportunity to play in different roles, that doesn't mean you take somebody off the field. You can put 2 guys out there. Right. But I think that that's always been our philosophy, and finding what players can do well, playing to their strengths. And so Christian's is obviously a special player. As I said, he takes care of himself at an elite level, but we also like the rest of the backs as well. And so I think in Joe's system, I think it's going to be based upon, being really multiple. And Jeff Nixon Jackson's our running back coach. You look at his running back room when he was in Miami. I mean, the two starting tailbacks in the Super Bowl were his third and fourth tailback in Miami. So, we have experience with getting a lot of guys on the field.
Okay, so the fact they gave him all that money.
So it's a banner year for Reggie Bonifana. Is what he said.
He's like, we got all these guys. Who do they have? Jordan Scarlett? Wasn't that guy in the AAF or the XFL or something? I don't even know. That was Cameron Artis Payne that was in the XFL. All right. So Christian McCaffrey at 1. I'm sure Saquon at 2.
Saquon is number 2.
Okay.
The 1B. After that.
Yeah. So let's see. No. I think that this is where it's like you can begin to have a conversation, about what's next. And maybe not. I think the conversation starts at 4.
Yeah, for me, number 3 is Ezekiel Elliott. Was that who was there for you too?
Yeah. All right. Before we get on
that often.
Before we get into no. We'll answer this guy LA Red Sox 25's question after you talk about Ezekiel Elliott. But everybody knows about Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, that offense is just going to be spitting hot fire all season, I think. And I think better wide receivers just make it easier for Ezekiel Elliott in that backfield. And I don't think they move away from him. I think that with the quarterback kind of situation there, a lot of people want Dalton back there under center, but I don't think it really would make a difference.
Who? His mom and dad?
No, reading comments.
They want Dalton over Dak Prescott.
Yes, a lot of Cowboys fans.
Do you know what I've realized more and more as I've gotten older and older, Trash Man? The average, there are a lot of morons in the world. A lot of real idiots. Who could ever think that? So number 3, pretty easy. Let's just answer this question from Periscope. We want to try and answer these questions when we can. LA Red Sox 25 says, has J.K. Dobbins made Gus Edwards irrelevant? And do you think he takes carries away from Ingram this year? The answers to those are yes and yes.
Yes and yes. Resounding yeses.
All right. We thank you very much, LA Red Sox, for being a premium member at Roster Watch. We love you too, brother. And we can't thank you.
Must be hard being a Red Sox fan in LA.
Yeah. Must be. A lot of rough times in LA right now, Trash Man. A lot of rough going on. Okay. Number 4.
Number 4 for me is Dalvin Cook.
I love it. That's where I have it too. Talk to me about why you have it, Dalvin Cook over Alvin Kamara there. Not to give away your next pick.
I just think, really, they didn't do much to improve the offense otherwise. I think they're going to lean more to the running game even than they did last year. Yeah. I think, I guess there's an argument that the backfield might be a little more split, but even so, because they've got a good backup there in Minnesota, and then I could see them giving Cook more of his rest there because they have a decent backup there. So, but I just think in PPR formats, and that's what we're talking about here, and that's what I'm always going to talk about here, is I think Cook is just an invaluable resource to that Minnesota Vikings team that's going to be, I think, even more reliant upon the run this year than last year.
Shout out to Roster Watch OG member Minion Hunter here on the YouTube chat. I guess his YouTube name is I Am Ion's Cat. Do you know what that means, Trash Man? Anything to do with Ion's Cat? We follow Minion Hunter on Twitter, and he sometimes tweets out these kind of folklorish fantasy types of drawings. Ion's Cat.
I don't know. Ions. I know there's Cat Ion. Okay, I get it.
Cat Ion. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's a scientific. It's like proton neutrons. I think cat ion. Yeah, it's a positively charged ion.
Well, we do know one thing about Minion Hunter. Our boy Wicked Smart.
I thought maybe there's going to be like a Schrodinger's cat reference or something like that.
He wanted the top guys recap, so it was Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook. Now talk about Alvin Kamara.
I said Dane Cook. How'd you know it was going to be Alvin Kamara next?
No, it's got to be. Otherwise, we're going to end the stream.
Yeah, it is Alvin Kamara. Nothing really has changed. I mean, you still have Alex's favorite running back as the 1B to Alvin Kamara.
Do you know what I think that the interesting and kind of overlooked guy in that offense is going to be, as I've been making
Emmanuel Sanders?
Yeah. I like the idea of Emmanuel Sanders in that.
Oh, I love it. Emmanuel Sanders slants over the middle.
I think it hurts Michael Thomas just the tiniest bit. Not much. I still think Michael Thomas is still wide receiver 1, but I do. I think it hurts him. Like, he hasn't had any real competition like that.
Well, the thing is, Michael Thomas is kind of relying upon volume. He's not making a lot of huge chunk plays. And so I think that's where
he makes play after play after play after
play, but
he catches everything. Right.
And so, and that's where I see that hurting. But yeah, Kamara, I think he's going to improve on last year, certainly.
I have no idea where you're going to go here with number 6. There's a million ways you could go. So maybe you were right that we didn't count down. For
me, it's Derrick Henry.
That's where I am too for now. Do you want to? And do you worry at all that the Tennessee Titans drafted Darrington Evans, or do you just think that when you saw him, you're like, well, what that is that's a Dion Lewis replacement, and Dion Lewis didn't do shit down the at all last year, especially down the stretch.
You have to think
to me, what it means is it takes away any positive energy that we could have, that like we get any hope we could have held out, that maybe finally this is going to be the year that they start throwing Derrick Henry the football.
I just think with a guy that gets as many touches as Henry, you have to have a decent backup. And so I think Darrington he's insurance.
And you don't worry about You worry about them losing losing some offensive line players. Like, didn't they lose Jack Conklin?
If there's anybody who can withstand the loss of an offensive lineman or two, it's Derrick Henry. Like, this is a guy who can power. He's a power back who can catch the ball. I think maybe they find ways to get the ball to him in space more specifically because of that reason.
Or it could be Darrington Evans. Who knows? But yeah, I do like Derrick Henry there. It's a tough one. Who do you have at number 7?
Joe Mixon.
Dude, we have the same list thus far. It's crazy. Tell me why.
Joe Mixon. Down the stretch at the last half of that season,
I think it's a tough decision between Mixon and Derrick Henry, to be quite honest. Like, did you have trouble with that?
No, I just think Tennessee's offense is a little bit better than Cincinnati's, at least at this point, until it's proven otherwise. But Joe Mixon was just such a big contributor on that offense the latter half of that season. And maybe they lean more on AJ Green now that he's going to be healthy, and they have T. Higgins there too in the receiving game. But Joe Mixon can catch the ball too. And I think Joe Burrow is going to need to dump the ball off quite a bit, in his rookie campaign. I think Joe Mixon stays where he was the latter half of that season, or improves actually.
Yeah,
in his production.
Well, just look at all the factors we have going for him. He gets an upgraded quarterback to the best quarterback in the draft. One of the guys that's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, in Joe Burrow. If what we saw his senior year at LSU translates, which I think it will. You get AJ Green back. You get Tyler Boyd's coming back. John Ross is coming back. You have weapons all over the field for Joe Burrow. You have T. Higgins, who they spent a second-round draft pick on. Auden Tate's still kicking around there, but T. Higgins probably the eventual replacement to AJ Green. Just a terrific landing spot for that guy. And then what about Whenever Joe Mixon came in, we said, look, this guy's probably, there's terrible off-field issues, right? But if you can look past it all, he's got a ton of Le'Veon Bell to his game. We've seen what a guy like Le'Veon Bell, when he gets volume, is able to do in that division. Trashman, you talked earlier about just down the stretch last year, whenever it looked like the Bengals were tanking and they were going against teams that were much better than them, like the New England Patriots, they would just hand the ball off to Joe Mixon 38 times in a game. Like they would give him volume that was unlike the volume that anybody else was getting in the entire league. Also, the offensive line is going to get a major upgrade when they get Jonah Williams. That was a first-round draft pick last year out of Alabama. That guy that was one of our favorite guys in the whole draft last year. And the Bengals are just getting it back. It's like they have another first-round pick, that they're just getting for the first time. It reminds you of when the Patriots was that Isaiah Wynn who missed his first year and they just got him back as just a first round shot in the arm, like right then you get it all at once. So I think Joe Mixon, all those factors makes it makes the Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon issue one that I'll just continue to monitor and see if there's any new news that comes out or anything that we can unearth that would help me break that tie. But for now, I think I have it. Those two. So just to recap, number 1 has been Christian McCaffrey. Number 2, Saquon Barkley. Number 3, Ezekiel Elliott. Number 4, Dalvin Cook. Number 5, Alvin Kamara. Number 6, Derrick Henry. Number 7, Joe Mixon. Who is number 8?
Number 8 is Kenyan Drake.
Okay. Kenyan Drake over Josh Jacobs and Nick Chubb and I would say that those are the two guys.
And neither of them are my number 9.
Whoa. Well, this is about to get cockamamie. Trashman, explain yourself. You've been saying since the very beginning that if we can expect Kenyan Drake to do what he did last year, that he should be taken in the first round. That'd be where you were taking him, right? You would be taking him. If you did this right now and you would consider that if Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams, and Tyreek Hill maybe would have been selected at the tail end of the first round as well.
I mean, Drake, he averaged 19 touches.
You'd be looking at 111 because you would have had the top 5 off the board that we talked about. Henry would be off the board. Mixon would be off the board. That is 7 running backs. And I can only think 3 wide receivers would be off the board by then. Devontae Adams, Michael Thomas, and Tyreek Hill in some order. You're talking about you value Kenyan Drake at about pick 111.
Hey, he was the number 4 back when he was starting for the Cardinals last season. Number 4 back, averaging 19 touches a game. And I think that offense has just gotten better, I think they've taken more pressure off of the running game. And adding DeAndre Hopkins. And they
haven't done anything to address the position besides ship David Johnson out and bring in Eno.
Exactly. Eno Benjamin, who is a complimentary back. He's not a 3-down back.
Well, and he wasn't. I think he's one of these guys that if you needed him to be one for a stretch, he could be like a Giovanni Bernard type for you.
That's in a pinch.
That's kind of a good comp for him, isn't it? I never thought of that one before. Okay, so Kenyan Drake, that's aggressive. I thought I was aggressive on Kenyan Drake, having him as my running back 10 over guys like Austin Ekeler and Miles Sanders, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Who is your number 9 running back? And it's not Nick Chubb.
It's Austin Ekeler.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain this one to me.
What am I have to explain? Like Nick Chubb, he has arguably a top 10 running back in his backfield already.
Not a top 10 fantasy running back, but a top 10 running back in the league. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'll argue till I'm blue in the face to Kareem. Like, if you play Dynasty, you need to be going out and trying to get Kareem Hunt right now. When people are thinking of him as just a backup, like he's only 20. He's like 24 or 25. He's going to be a runner that's taken in the first or second round of fantasy next year once he gets his new deal. The Browns were able to get him back as a restricted free agent this year. That they aren't going to be able to just dump money into the running back position by paying Kareem Hunt and by planning to pay Nick Chubb. It's not going to happen. Kareem Hunt's going to go somewhere and be an epic starter. So if you play in Dynasty, go get Kareem Hunt. With that being said, Nick Chubb is just so good, man. He's just
so is Austin Ekeler.
All right, so Austin Ekeler, no Melvin Gordon anymore.
And still, we're talking about PPR formats too, and I think that kind of mitigates some of the advantages that Nick Chubb would have over a couple of these guys, like Drake and like Ekeler. I think Ekeler and Drake, these are the kind of the backs of the future, and I feel like Nick Chubb is kind of a throwback. You know, they're kind of moving away from those kind of backs. I feel like in offenses in the NFL. And I think that Tyrod Taylor under center, I think he's going to want to keep his job. I think in order to do that, he's going to limit the, downfield throws. And I think Austin Ekeler is going to get a lot of dump offs. I think he's just going to be consumed with volume in that offense.
I'm trying to figure out how I can go to our somebody was asking him in a dynasty startup when he should take Kareem Hunt, and I'm looking to so let me look at the startup draft here, because I just recently took Kareem Hunt in a dynasty startup, super flex. So in a super flex dynasty startup, I took him he was around for me in the 9th round of a 12 team. So if we have, he's saying that LA Red Sox again, he's saying if he's in 16 team IDP, I took him at 9.01. I was thrilled with that in a 12 team. So we're talking what? Get Minion Hunter here to do some math for us. Pick 108, somewhere around there. Or wait, no. Pick 96, pick 97. So that's in a super flex league. So it would have been a little bit earlier in a non-super flex. Say maybe pick 88. Let's just say pick 84 to make it easy. So the end of the 7th round in a dynasty startup is when I would take him. The end of the 7th round. That's about where I was able to take him in that dynasty startup, and I would begin to target him there. All right. So Austin Ekeler, you're not worried at all that Phillip Rivers was the king of the dump off. And
I think Tyrod Taylor will play a similar type of game. I think he's going to play small ball there.
All right. So if you number 10, give it to us.
That's when I put in your boy Nick Chubb.
All right. So you're fine with Nick Chubb?
I'm fine with Nick Chubb.
They're in your top 10, just not ahead of Austin Ekeler. And it has only to do with Kareem Hunt, because if Kareem Hunt was there, how high up your board would Nick Chubb be?
He'd be at probably 3 spots higher.
Okay. What about Aaron Jones? You just couldn't get him on here?
I couldn't. He was right on the cusp, and I just don't know that he's gonna. I can't imagine he's gonna score 16 touchdowns again this season, and that was his bread and butter.
If you had to take one of these players and add them into your top 10 instead of Nick Chubb, tell me which one it would be. Josh Jacobs, who's a glaring player missing out of there. Aaron Jones or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which one are you most likely to go with there?
I'd say Aaron Jones.
Even though Clyde Edwards-Helaire is tied to Patrick Mahomes, 1st round draft pick, and the Packers hate Aaron Jones. They hate all their running backs, and they hate you, Trashman, as a fantasy player. We know that Andy Reid doesn't hate you.
We do know that the Packers do intend on being even more predicated on the run than they have in the past. So I'm kind of banking on that with Aaron. If he's not going to be scoring as many touchdowns, I think he's going to have more, as much or more yardage this year.
All right. Good work, man. So that'll be the pod. Thanks to everybody for watching on YouTube. We certainly appreciate it. Love all the interaction with you guys. If you could please, we're being serious about this stuff. Like, we have people who really look at like how many comments there are. So if you guys could just comment on the video in YouTube, we would really, really appreciate it. And we really appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, rate, review, pass the word along about us. Without y'all, we couldn't do any of this. So with that said, peace. We'll see y'all later.